Hi, I'm Rob Schmidt. This is Bias Bash. Brian Williams may not be the best person to discuss another man's lying. On his show, The 11th Hour, Williams hosted a segment that discussed President Donald Trump's alleged lying. The irony here that Williams was suspended from his NBC job for 6 months and later fired from hosting NBC Nightly News after he, quote, misrepresented events which occurred while he was covering the Iraq War in 2003. Well, here with her reaction is radio talk show host and Fox News contributor Tammy Bruce. Tammy, thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And this, I think it is a bit strange to see, I think, from a lot of perspectives, that he would have this segment on his show.
Yeah, look, in this particular exchange with Charlie Sykes, also a radio talk show host, who really led the anti-Trump movement during the campaign itself. At one point, Charlie said that Donald Trump can't think past or doesn't think deeply enough past being able to do anything than 140 characters like in a tweet. So this is an individual who's been extremely hostile to the nominee. And of course, he had this op-ed in the New York Times talking about Trump being a liar. Now, then he sits down, of course, with Brian Williams. And there's a big difference between disagreeing with someone's take on the nature of what's occurring. You and I could see a situation and react to it and assess it completely differently. It doesn't mean one of us is lying. But with Brian Williams, you literally had an individual who was making things up out of whole cloth, being shot at in Afghanistan, seeing bodies float by him during Sandy or Katrina in New Orleans, things that literally actually never occurred, not assessments or opinion or that kind of dynamic. And so I think that this is very valuable when you see that kind of exchange. You have to consider the individual involved, what their bias is, what their intentions are. And look, the New York Times is a piece in the New York Times because it's what the New York Times wants to hear. There is in that headline the presumption that the president is lying. Well, really, is this a dynamic where, as we already know the media has, and certainly the New York Times has made it very clear, that they don't like Trump and their approach is to have an impact on his legitimacy. And accusing someone of lying is part of that. And it's a shame that Charlie Sykes has participated in that. But this is part of what we have to deal with now. From
Brian Williams' perspective, though, being a host of a show, he's obviously made a mistake in the past. If I play the other side here, does that mean he can't talk about, I mean, they're alleging lying. I don't think he took the side. I think maybe he's bringing somebody on, a guest that says he is.
Right.
Is he breaking, some kind of moral code, do you think? Is he breaking some kind of rule that he shouldn't be? Is that, I mean...
I think that we've unfortunately gotten past the point of expecting the legacy media, at least, and someone like Brian Williams, we really don't take them seriously now. I don't know if there's a moral code in what they're doing, because if that was a genuine search for information, you would have had a couple people there to have the conversation. But in this case with Brian Williams, and this is the problem that NBC has and even that he has, during this investigation to why he would make up things that people, it was demonstrably false. Yeah. And at one point he said, well, maybe I had a brain tumor. A very strange reaction in trying to explain this. And that kind of problem, of a problem with a relationship with reality, is going to infect everything you look at. And this is why the media's approval rating is below that now of cockroaches. They're at about 13%. Congress is, yes, cockroaches are more appreciated apparently than the media these days. It's because the American people want people that, look, they're not going to believe everything that media says, but they want to know that you're at least getting something you can trust a little bit in information. And these days, that's not happening.
That was a big bruising thing for him. It cost him his job. Yeah.
It did. And right now, he should have an opportunity, and he should be working on really reinforcing and getting back into the good graces of people. But we'll see. At this point, we don't know if that's going to be happening.
All right. Tammy, thanks so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
All right. To hear more media analysis of this week's top headlines, catch Media Buzz with Howard Kurtz on Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And again at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Fox News Channel. I'm Rob Schmidt. Thanks for watching.